All right, it is now time to go over two terms that I feel are also necessary to demonstrate to you, because these are actually terms that I created based upon observations that I have made through my academic and professional experience. They're not perfect models for this type of stuff, because there are exceptions to these guidelines that I'm about to share with you. However, they do work as a rough model for understanding the differences in pronunciation when it comes to style and the differences in pronunciation when it comes to pitch. So that is what we're going to be covering right now. So the vowel spectrum. These are the various shapes of a vowel that you're producing based on the desired style, from, say, traditional on this side to contemporary on this side. So, to give you an example of that, pop style songs, they require less consonant pronunciation and focus on a broader vowel. And then on this side of the spectrum, we have opera, where the consonants are a little bit more important and the vowels are maybe more narrow in shape. So I'm going to demonstrate an ah vowel for our purposes today from the traditional side of the spectrum all the way over to the contemporary side, and see if you can discern and understand what I'm doing. Here we go. So, you can see that based on the style, based on whether it's opera or pop, the change in tone and timbre occurred along the spectrum. And the way that you can think of the spectrum is that, let's say that, opera's over here. Maybe like traditional Broadway is somewhere like between, more towards contemporary, but still tied to the traditional side of things. And then you have contemporary Broadway maybe in the middle. And then you have something like, operatic rock maybe in this area, which is a hybrid of the two. And then maybe you have country over here and rock over here and then pop over here. There's all kinds of ways to discern and translate this spectrum, but you can use it and create your own for your own purposes. And hopefully it gives you an idea of your ability to change back and forth between genres. It is not very difficult to do so, because it all depends on your vowel modification. It's fascinating to me that singers who are trained in a traditional way have a hard time singing contemporary, and vice versa. But this right here, I hope, gives you a framework to simplify the transition between those. And if anything, you could be like Freddie Mercury and transition from phrase to phrase, from traditional to contemporary, and make a hybrid. So, there's all kinds of potential by understanding this idea of the style spectrum, the vowel spectrum. So, now, there's another spectrum, which is the pitch spectrum. Again, this is relative to certain situations, to most situations. There are times where you are going to break these guidelines, depending on the register you're in, depending on the style that you're using. But generally speaking, when you are singing higher, you lift. You lift, you show the teeth, you raise the mask. Even with traditional. Contemporary. Lifting. And you're broadening the vowel in the process. When you are singing lower, That requires dropping of the jaw. Relaxation here in the mask. You're pulling it down slightly. Not to the point where anything is tensing, of course, but it's narrower. Even in a contemporary setting. Because if it's too broad, that's what it sounds like. And that is something I feel that most of you would like to avoid. So, there you go. Those are two spectrums, the vowel spectrum and the pitch spectrum, that you can use to measure what's happening with your voice. The vowel spectrum for distinguishing the transitions of style from either song to song or even phrase to phrase if you feel up to the challenge. And the pitch spectrum to help you discern whether or not you should lift based on the pitch that you are singing or to drop based on the pitch that you were singing, which is usually correlated with high to low. So, now that we have covered all of that great stuff, it is now finally time to dive into the vocal exercises. I'm really excited for this next section.